Hi guys, today we're going to talk about solving inequalities. And inequalities is anything that has an inequality sign, a greater than, a less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So this you can see here is the inequality sign. So we're going to solve this. You follow the same rules for solving equations. So if I were going to solve an equation, my first step would be get rid of the parentheses by doing the distributive property. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And that just means we're going to take the number on the outside and multiply it by everything that's on the inside. So if I have negative 6 times g, I'm going to get negative 6g. And then I'm going to do negative 6 times positive 2, and I'm going to get positive. No, I'm not going to get positive. I'm going to get negative 12. Got to watch me. So it looks like this. All right, that's the first step. The second step is, remember that our goal is to get the g alone. So the second step is to get rid of the negative 12 or the negative 6. I'm always going to get rid of the number that's not with the variable. In this case, negative 12. I want to move it to the other side with the other constant. So to get rid of a minus 12, I'm going to do the opposite, which is add 12. So I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And I have negative 6g. The 12s cancel out. And it looks like this. 18 plus 12 is 30. Okay. Now from there, I still have to get rid of a negative 6. And it's multiplying by the g. So I'm going to undo that by doing the opposite operation. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing by negative 6. And when I do that, I have g. On this side, I have negative 5. But I want you to pay attention because what we have to do here, when we're dividing both sides by a negative or multiplying both sides by a negative, I'm going to flip the inequality sign. So instead of less than or equal to, now it's greater than or equal to. And that's going to be my solution. So it doesn't have anything to do with adding or subtracting. It doesn't matter if the number's a negative. It's very specific that if we're dividing both sides by a negative or multiplying both sides by a negative, that's when we're going to flip the inequality sign. And then from there, we can graph it. So I'm going to plot this. We have negative 5. I'll put a 0 on here. It's not really too important to have the numbers on there. But we have negative 5. Now, I'm going to put a circle here. If it's also equal to, so this is a greater than or equal to sign, I'm going to fill in the circle. If it wasn't also equal to, I would keep an open circle. And now I'm going to follow the arrow. Since the variable's on the left, I can follow what the arrow's saying. The arrow's saying go right. All my solutions are to the right because all my solutions are greater than or equal to negative 5. And the numbers that are greater than or equal to negative 5 are to the right of negative 5. So this is how it would look. And that's how you would solve that. Now, there are some problems that are a little bit different than this. So I'm going to just show you a couple examples of how else it could look when you're doing this. So we might have something that looks like this. 4 times y minus 2 is greater than 4y minus 9. Okay, so again, the first step is to do the distributive property so I can get rid of those parentheses. So I'm going to multiply the 4 on the outside times the y, and I'm going to get 4y. And then 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So it looks like this. And on this side, nothing changes. Now my next step would be to get rid of the variable or move the variable from one side to the other. So I'm going to subtract this 4y to move it to the other side. And so I'm going to subtract 4y on both sides because remember what I do on one side, I have to do to the other. And so 4y minus 4y is 0, and I'm left with negative 8 over here. Then I have a greater than sign. On the right-hand side, again, 4y minus 4y is still 0, and all that's left over here is negative 9. No variable left. So it looks like this. I'm going to look at that and determine if it's a true or a false statement. So negative 8, is it greater than negative 9? It is. So since negative 8 is greater than negative 9, it's a true statement, which means my answer is going to be all real numbers. Notice there's no variable left. Okay, so when there's no variable left, we just have numbers here. No variable. When there's no variable left and we just have the numbers, we have to look if it's a true statement. And if it's a true statement, that tells me that any number I plug in for y will always work no matter what. So the answer would be all real numbers. Now let's take a look at it. I'm going to just change this around just to here. Okay, let's change this to a less than sign. So we solve the whole thing again, and we come down to the bottom, and we have -8 is less than -9. When I look at that, no variable left. When I look at that, -8 is not less than -9. So that's a not true or false statement. And when it's not true, that means there's no solution. Should look like that. I'm going to fix this N just in case I'm confusing you. All right, so it's a no solution. So when there's no variable and it's a false statement or not true, that's a no solution. If there's no variable and it's a true statement, it would be all real numbers. And everything else, you should be able to have a variable, and it should be a greater than or less than or greater than or equal to or less than or equal to a number. And that's how you would solve multiple step inequalities.